Dr. Itnal, even as the KPCC general body meeting was happening, then in the evening the CLP was happening, all we heard, and we kept track on minute by minute, we had reporters. All they said was, there is insistence, we are all one, there is no fighting. The Jaipur, a declaration of one man, one party, that also in certain cases can be twisted, or rather can be accommodated. So basically, we are all one. There is absolutely everything is hunky dory in the Congress party as well as the government. But look at this, Dr. Itnal, openly, and while Surjewala was there, taking the building of Belagavi, where one person says, I did this, the other person says, but why are you not praising me? Dr. Itnal, I think, and I was asking this question and I don't want you to agree with me, but do you think it is one of the worst crises being faced by the Siddaramaiah government, sir?
I don't know about the government. I don't think the government is facing any crisis. Definitely the party is facing crisis in Karnataka. Karnataka Pradesh Congress Committee has a problem. And whenever central leaders come to Bangalore and go to town claiming that they're all one, there is unity, there is no problem. And whenever they do that, that's exactly when things are not well. That's why they need to, keep up that official line. So having said that, what has happened in Belgaum is, because Belgaum is my hometown, I know the history of politics there quite reasonably well. Lakshmi Hebbalkar, Satish Jarkiholi, Ramesh Jarkiholi, entire Jarkiholi clan and Lakshmi Hebbalkar, they were one for a long time. Lakshmi Hebbalkar's politics started with Jarkiholi's, political sphere. But they fell off, over a decade ago due to one primary level bank election, differences. And that is when Shivakumar intervened and he stood behind Lakshmi Hebbalkar. That is when this rift between Hebbalkar and Jarkiholi family started. Hebbalkar is very openly being supported by Shivakumar. That makes matters worse. And Hebbalkar being Lingayat and Jarkiholi is being ST, the divisions are very visible there. Now, what has happened in Belgaum, the party office, whether whoever is financed, that's a different thing. Every political leader of the party has to chip in, and they might have done it. But the point is, when Shivakumar pointedly, emphasizes Lakshmi Hebbalkar's contribution and omits the contributions of Jarkiholi, whether both Satish and Ramesh, definitely these people are going to feel, slighted. So that's one thing. Another is, yesterday in the CLP meeting, what went on between Surjewala and these two leaders is anybody's guess. But what came across after that, what came out was Siddaramaiah had to virtually admit to transfer of power. He said, officially in his speech, he said, sometimes we have to, sacrifice the power, like Mrs. Sonia Gandhi has done, like Rahul Gandhi has done. Maybe I also need to do that sometimes. So that is literally admission of there is a change of guard on the cards now. Surjewala, on the other hand, he warned all party leaders not to discuss these things in public, not to have these kind of dinner meetings of one faction or the other. All this warnings he has done, and just on the heels of that kind of a warning, Jarkiholi's and Lakshmi Hebbalkar's sparring is in the open. So definitely the party is in crisis, if not the government itself.
Sudha, I'm sure Dr. Itnal and me, you have also seen so many such crises erupt in Karnataka, and they all fizzle out over a period of time with some placating that happens and some kind of firefighting which is done by the High Command. This time around also, I don't see any reason that this could snowball into a big issue, given the fact that though Satish Jarkiholi does this posturing time and again, and I think so in the last nearly 2 years of Siddaramaiah government, this is the fourth time I'm seeing him do this kind of posturing that he wants to be considered for the top post, either as the CM or as the KPCC president. So clearly, these are things that we need to understand that the Jarkiholi brothers certainly have enough influence in their region, and that influence is something that they play upon. That North Karnataka, they control or they have influence over a couple of nearly a dozen seats. But beyond that, the way we've seen Lakshmi Hebbalkar take her position and being able to challenge them in their own fiefdom, that is something that we must give it to the woman who met with an accident this morning.
Yes.
And is recovering in a hospital.
Yes, thank you.
That she has actually showed a lot of grit in taking up these fiefdoms and demolishing the myth that it's the Jarkiholis who control the politics in North Karnataka region.
Vijay, of course, I agree, because I've done most of the stories with you and Dr. Itnal, because to get a proper perspective. But Vijay, this time around, look at it. The dinner party hosted in the absence of DK Shivakumar. DK Shivakumar going and complaining to Venugopal about it, scuttling Parameswara's dinner party. After that, Rajanna coming out in the open and saying, why is he so upset? Have we taken away his wealth? Why should everyone, only he be the one who should be dominating? You see, there are problems in every party. We know there is problem in AAP. We know several. But the point of the matter is, when Randeep came yesterday, spent time and said very clearly that we do not want a wedge, for them to spar like this, that's why I'm saying that it ain't over as yet, Vijay Grover. This seems to be going on and on and on and on.
Well, see, so the one thing is very clear in this entire thing is that we need to understand that, Randeep Surjewala is doing a very tough job. And, aspirations, if you were to look at, certainly DK Shivakumar is the most aspirational leader in Karnataka today who's been vying. And, the formula that was worked out when Siddaramaiah took charge was half the term and half the term. And now with the first term of Siddaramaiah actually coming towards an end, if the same formula is to be applied, there are certain elements which are cropping up, and that's where DK Shivakumar sees that, there could be efforts to prevent him from becoming the chief minister for the last 13 months. And that's why we see this restlessness and, he reaching out to Venugopal that, any effort which would be detrimental to his interest should not be encouraged. So clearly there are a lot of elements, and if you see Parameswara's dinner party or the way Jarkiholi has been trying to stake his claim indirectly, not directly, these are signs that all is not well. But DK Shivakumar certainly is a very influential leader, not just in his community but also in the party, being the KPCC president. So, and the only convincing that needs to be done is either he gives up the KPCC post as the president and takes charge over here, or whether he would want to retain that, because the post of the KPCC president is very, very powerful in terms of, he decides the default.
So do you think, but what I see is Dr. Itnal said, yes, there is a crisis. According to you, this too shall pass. Is that what you're saying before I go to Dr. Itnal?
At the moment, we don't see anything, because on the contrary, what we are hearing is that in case there is a paratrooping that happens from Delhi, of somebody coming as the chief minister here, maybe a Dalit face, that could be the turning point as far as Karnataka politics is concerned, because the sentiments that Siddaramaiah has built up is something that is gaining momentum.